Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Basketball today. And I'll tell you what, BYU Clemson was not only a thriller, it was a thriller from about 30,000 feet, 15,000 feet, and 5,000 feet for your boy Torres. Okay, so again, I was on a plane coming to the East Coast, but the cool part was I was able to largely catch most of this game, okay? So I get on the plane, I turn on the Wi-Fi, and it's kind of funny, right? Because, I turn it on, I think BYU is down by maybe 8 or 10 late in the first half. I flip over to the Kentucky game really quick. By the way, shout out Southwest. I had all the sports channels on that flight. But I bring it up because I flip over. Then I turn back. BYU is down 20. It's halftime. And I sat there and said, maybe this is just one of those moments where BYU, they fly east. I think they got in early, maybe on early Sunday. Maybe they just weren't ready, and you kind of pack it in and you say, whatever, you get ready for the next game, get ready for Big 12 play. I know, because BYU trailed by 22 points 21 at the half, 22 in the second half, slowly chip away. This was both the fun part and not fun part about being on a plane. Captain literally says, you got to turn off all your portable devices, right? Torres says, no. I'm watching the end of this Clemson BYU game. Clemson, by the way, BYU is down 22. They come all the way to take a 5-point lead. Clemson comes back and ties it. You have 2 Clemson timeouts. Then BYU inbounds the ball, calls a timeout at half court. At this point, I'm going through turbulence. I'm at about 10,000 feet. We're about to land. But you want to talk about turbulence? How about Rob Wright at the buzzer? If you're watching on YouTube, we cannot play video by legality, but we can play you the sound. Here is Dan Schulman, Jay Billis on the call.
Boskovic to inbound. Right. Got it! Robert Wright III wins it for the Cougars. Don't know if that's what Kevin Young drew up, but it worked like a charm for BYU.
Well, it was clearly one of the options that Kevin Young drew up, because Robert Wright III was...
There you have it. Rob Wright at the buzzer calls game. BYU overcoming a 22-point second half deficit for the win. All right, so this game, it was so crazy that to me, there's like 3 different stories in one. There's the buzzer beater. There's the fact that BYU trailed by 22 points in that second half, and they came back and won in regulation, mind you. And 3, listen, the big story that everybody wants to talk about, it is AJ Dybantsa. It is what he did in this game, on this stage, in this moment. The kid was absolutely incredible, okay? And I think everybody has some understanding of who he is, what he does, what makes him special. I thought on Tuesday night, though, at Madison Square Garden, the full display of skill, the full skill set, I guess would be the right way to say it, was on display. Okay. First of all, kid finishes with 28 points overall. Okay. Came into the game averaging 19 and change, whatever. 28 points overall. 23 of them, I believe, were in the second half. But what was crazy is, and I keep coming back to this with AJ, is, I think there was a lot of negativity. Listen, number 1 overall pick, whatever, debate, discuss, whatever. But I do think, in basketball circles, there was conversation about, is he a one-man band? Can he play within a team concept? All that good stuff. He transparently, didn't have a great senior season in some regards at Utah Prep. But I bring it up because look at what he did on Tuesday night. Finished the game overall with 28 points, 9 of 17 from the field. So he's not forcing the ball at all. 9 of 10 from the foul line. This is what I keep coming back to with AJ, which is unbelievable to me, is the fact that this is a kid who, can get to the rim anytime he wants at any moment. It's just an incredible skill set that I just don't know how many people have. 9 of 10 shooting from the from the free throw line. And I think that's what makes him so dangerous offensively. He can literally get to the line anytime he wants, and he's shooting 80%. And then, oh, by the way, on top of it, he also finished the game with 6 assists. And the stat that Jeff Borzello put out, Matt, you can pop that up whenever you want. Jeff Borzello put out a crazy stat. In the second half for AJ Dybantsa, he had more points, Matt, pop back up, more points and more assists than Clemson in the second half. 22 points compared to Clemson's 21, 5 assists compared to 3 assists for Clemson. And he was 7-4-11 from the field. Clemson was 7 of 27 overall. So 1, AJ was incredible. 2, statistically, he was phenomenal. But 3, that last part to me is so interesting, right? Because yes, it is a point total, 22-21. Shooting, Clemson finishes 7 of 27. And so I think 2 things can be true. I don't think BYU was great early. I certainly think they were great late. But why I bring it up and what is especially interesting to me is this. We can focus on AJ going off for 28. We can focus on Rob Wright at the buzzer. You know why BYU won that game? It was because they were truly, truly, truly locked down defensively in the second half, okay? And so with this game, I think we saw the full complement of essentially what BYU can be, but you go back to Kevin Young in the preseason at the Villanova game. I remember him talking about this at the Villanova game, was like, he basically said, like, I think we can be, and I think we should be the best defensive team in all of college basketball by the end of the season, and it starts with AJ Dybantsa. And so to me, that's the other thing that was on display with AJ, is the full defensive skill set and the ability to guard multiple positions and how he fits with Keba Keita, with why am I blanking on his name? Kennard Davis, all of those guys. I mean, this is what BYU is supposed to be. And the crazy part is, not only do I not think they played their best game on Tuesday night, I think you can argue they have maybe once all season played their best game, period. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about this, is that you go through BYU right now. They're sitting at 8-1 overall. They have 4 bye games before Big 12 play starts, okay? And so I bring that up because they're sitting at 8-1. They have a win over Miami, which I'm not a huge KenPom guy, but they're a top 25 KenPom team. They have a win over Clemson. The only loss was to UConn on a neutral court. They've beaten Dayton. The only game where they played anything close to their full potential was against Wisconsin a few weeks ago. It was like a 2 p.m. local time start. It was on Peacock. I don't know how many people watched. That was the only game that they have played. And so, Matt, if I sent you my tweet from earlier today, this is the thing that stood out to me watching this game. BYU wins this unbelievable game, 21-point deficit. They're 8-1. They're probably going to enter Big 12 play 12-1. Their final 4 before Big 12 play are all bye games. Let's see here really quick off the top of my head. UC Riverside, Pacific, Abilene Christian, and Eastern Washington before they open at Kansas State and Arizona State in Big 12 play. By the way, I'm looking at the opening of the Big 12 play at Kansas State, Arizona State, at Utah, TCU. You never take anything for granted. They could start easily 4-0 in Big 12 play going into the middle of January where they go to Texas Tech. I mean, you could be looking at this team at 16-1 overall, and I don't think they've played anything close to their best basketball. You go back to Tuesday night, fell down by 21 points, 22 points, 21 points. I keep saying it, 21 points at the half, 22 points overall. And even in the comeback, go ahead and think about this game. Richie Saunders, who was an All-American last year, essentially, all Big 12 first team, 5 points in this game. He's averaging 17 on the season. Now, he struggled in the win against Villanova early. He has bounced back very nicely, is averaging 17 a game, 37% shooting from the 3. He had 5 points in this game. And so if I'm a BYU fan, I'm over the moon because I'm 8-1. The only loss was to UConn on a neutral in Boston. In a game that you lost by 2, you easily could have come back and won. And you should be 12-1 going into Big 12 play. Easily could be 16-1, again, with the way the schedule breaks to start Big 12 play. You should be over the moon. Listen, Big 12 is brutal. I don't know what else there is to say about that. Arizona is great. Iowa State is great. Houston is very good and will be great by the middle of Big 12 play. Kansas, I think now that they're at full strength, is very good. But I just bring it up because, like, if you're a BYU fan, I just think you have to be over the moon at where your team is and really where they could be. Because remember last year, they actually really struggled out of the gate. Like, it's easy to forget now BYU makes the Sweet 16. It's this great story. New head coach, comes in, this and that. But let's never forget, they basically, they entered Big 12 play at 10-2, but didn't really play a very tough out of conference schedule. And then at one point, don't forget that they were 11-6 overall before they got hot late in the season. And so I could go on and on. 11-6, 15-8 overall a season ago. I just bring it up to very simply say that this team is ahead of where last year's team was. This team is not even playing that well and is 8-1, should be 12-1 heading into Big 12 play. And oh, by the way, their best basketball is still ahead.